Yeah, it's a gratifying win. Our quarterback is playing exceptionally well, as was just stated. Really happy for my team and for the coaches and everyone else that's worked so hard. Looking forward to the next Mountain West Conference matchup. Meaningful games late in the season it adds to the college athlete and student athlete experience. And happy for our players that they have those kind of games coming up. Glad to take questions.
Yeah, coach. It's on to the next one, and what do you what are you, like your how do you see Colorado State?
Colorado State's a good football team. Very clear with their identities. They run the ball very, very well. I would say if you had to label, which is never fair or truly accurate, pro style. Quarterback's a very good player. And out of the pocket, boots, and different things like that. So, yeah, just very skilled and a good identity offensively, physical, defensively, super sound, and really well coached. There's a reason they're having success. And I would say overall, it's a physical, confident football team. And again, no surprise, once that's all been acknowledged, which it just was, I'm only focusing on our team and our improvement and our growth and the areas that we can continue to develop.
I don't know how hard you looked at them in the offseason and all that. They really hadn't been running the ball that much in Norvell's tenure until this year. How have you seen that kind of run game develop with 25 sort of as the bell cow back there?
I think it has developed. I think the loss of their wide receiver possibly influenced. I can't say determined, but I think if you look at a quality offensive front, which they have, a good running back, which they have, and the ability to maybe match up physically well in our league. I think they saw that as this team and this season unfolded. And I think, like most good coaches and good programs, you adapt as you see where your strengths are. And I think that's what they've done.
And Coach, could you just comment on Devon? You talked about him last week. You were saying how you don't see a ceiling for him and all that. Could you just talk about how he continues to just show us something new every week?
Yeah, there's really nothing Devon can't do, right? He runs the ball really well. He runs it not only with speed and elusiveness, but he's also physical, deceptively physical. Throws the ball really, really well, very difficult to sack, extends plays, creates plays, and moves our football program forward. Most coaches get way too much of the credit. Devon is leading this team. He's playing at a level that's probably unprecedented for a first-year starter, regardless of level, regardless of place, and just really fun to be able to see who he's becoming, how he's performing, and how he's handling it all.
You mentioned that, if you had to categorize them, kind of like pro style is what comes to mind off of what you're seeing too. A lot of their branding, a lot of their history in Norvell's tenure has been built around, we are kind of the air raid, we're Fort Air Raid and all that too. I know you've seen multiple iterations of it in the past and all that, but when you are playing a team that kind of comes from that mold, what are the things that you kind of emphasize to the defense?
Yeah, well, so Air Raid is a brand for sure. I would say very similar to what we just played against Utah State, but that's really not what Colorado State is this year. And that doesn't mean they haven't been, and that doesn't mean that wasn't who they wanted to be maybe. But I think they've pivoted this year with this roster to give them their best chance to win. They certainly can throw it effectively. They have skilled receivers, tight ends, etc. But again, if I were to watch, which I've been doing all morning, right, watch their film and I had to say, is this air raid? I wouldn't say that. Can you see it? Influences of that, certainly. But again, part of coaching and good coaching is adjusting, adapting, and matching who you have, what you're doing to the outcomes you want. I think they're doing that.
Coach, you mentioned this morning you don't compare your defenses in regards to numbers nationally, and I appreciate that. You compare it to how you've done in the past. When you evaluated your defense this week, and obviously two huge plays that changed the game, but can you talk about defense, and did you see any progress overall? I mean, the numbers are what the numbers are, but when you look at it on defense, what did you see defensively?
Yeah, it's not hard for me to see progress. The amount of consistency play in and play out of the 86 plays that they played at the tempo they played the execution was at a much higher level for much longer. I thought Utah State's running back was the best that we had seen this year. We really did a nice job defending him in the run game through the entire game. And so, yeah, I think we gave our players a great chance to execute. Probably 2 plays they would want back, a long pass play and a run that went the distance at the end. But again, if you look at the capability of the team we just played and the circumstances, man, I see improvement everywhere. And again, from someone with a defensive background and a defensive history and been a defensive coordinator most of my life, which I'm not now, I see improvement weekly. And I guess if you looked only at the statistics, you wouldn't see it. Luckily, I don't do that. I look at where we really are, what's really happening, and compare us only to us. And our players know that. They know the improvement areas they have to make. They're encouraged, they're working, they're driven, they're dedicated, and yeah, they're all in. And I expect incremental progress all the way through the year. They want it, I want it, everyone else wants it. In the meantime, it's really nice to win.
Quick note before Ed goes, Utah State scored 5 of the first 6 possessions, only 2 of the final 7.
Coach, what can you say about UNM defensive tackle Tyler Keeney? Had a big pass deflection at the line of scrimmage in the fourth quarter. Seems like he's getting healthy and could really add some depth to the front 7.
Yeah, we just got him back. And so literally was cleared to play on Thursday. So he had 1 practice, the lightest practice of the week, before he had a chance to play. So the pass deflection was huge. And yeah, our defensive front will be pivotal all the way down the stretch, as when you get into conference play and conference races and meaningful games, really the defensive front determines how much risk you have to assume in the back end. If they play the run well, if they can get pressure on the quarterback. If they do neither well, right, the secondary and the whole back 7 is placed in conflict. And so, yeah, we need them to play well.
Through the 3-game win streak, you guys have snapped losing streaks to different opponents, 2 to NMSU, 5 to Air Force, 7 to Utah State. Now this kind of unfathomable 12-game losing streak to Colorado State is sort of in the picture and on the line. I know you guys don't really emphasize it the week of, but is it something that you guys are kind of cognizant of after the fact?
Only when someone tells us. You've told us now before the game, so now we know. I didn't know prior to either of the last 2 opponents. And I won't know unless you all tell me before we play anyone else. I mean, literally, I have no space for anything other than helping our team get better. And the context just does not matter that much, regardless of where we go or who we're playing.
Do you guys have an update on whether Nakari or Caleb will be good to go this week?
Don't have updates yet.
Coach, defensively, when you had to have big plays, like you talk about the tip pass and all that, what does that tell you about your guys?
Yeah, our guys are tough, and they're resilient, and they know where accurate messaging comes from. They trust the process. They know right where they are. They don't need anyone else to tell them. They listen, they work, they strive to improve, and they just keep going about the process day after day after day, which a lot of people do in their daily work lives, and they don't see transformational efforts sometimes from one week to the next, or maybe in the first 5 weeks of their life. But in the meantime, they're continually improving. And yeah, if you summarize the game, we don't win without the 4th down stop and the interception at the end. And if that's lost on anyone, that would be a mistake. Those are giant plays that determined outcome. And I don't intend to let them forget that for a long time.
Jaden played against Utah State, not a ton though. In terms of just his snap count going down, is that a matchup thing, or what are some of the factors kind of leading to that?
So both Dimitri and Randolph are playing really well, and so we look for as much consistency as possible. Would love to have as much depth as possible, and so there's nothing that's ruling out. Just other players currently performing at a pretty high level.
The most far and away, snaps-wise, for Derek Moore against Utah State, too, or some of the factors that kind of brought him into the fold as well?
Yeah, that they snap the ball so fast. Top 10 in the country, have extended wide receivers all over the place, and a defensive lineman versus another defensive back didn't make much sense. So Derek got a chance.
And then I believe it was Thursday, news leaked out that Tony Bennett, Virginia, was stepping down as the head coach there. I know you had significant overlap with him of your time in Virginia. I was just curious if you reached out to him.
I did, and vice versa. Not only on that day, but prior. Tony's a dear friend, an amazing human being, the best that college athletics has in terms of leadership, mentorship, and outcome. Amazing in how he treats his players with the results he gets, and really epitomizes everything I think is the ideal in college athletics. The landscape has changed, and that's a challenge for most that have significant principles, ideals, and are looking to really mentor young people. And yeah, he's amazing in every way, and I'm not sure there'll be another one like him in the world of college athletics. I think he's exceptional.
Coach, you've talked about learning how to win from in front. You had 2 opportunities to do that in the fourth quarter, and this was a different scenario where you were coming from behind. When Nakari Rogers scored, it looked like he was thinking about going down. You were ahead at that time. At the end of this past game, you were still trailing, and you scored a touchdown that allowed them to get the ball back. After the fact, thinking about those types of situations, is there a chance trailing in that spot where you'd like to see your team run out the clock and maybe kick a field goal at the very finish of the game?
Yeah, I guess, man, that'll be a debate forever, won't it? And usually outcome determines whether you're right or not. Could it have gone the other way? Certainly. We could have gone down right on the goal line or right on this side of the goal line and then taken our chances to see if we could punch it in, put the pressure on our kicker, etc., or just play. And all of those things were talked about, diagnosed, thought through, statistically analyzed, etc. And good luck making that decision. And if you win, it looks great. And if you don't, it doesn't. It won't be the last time. Luckily, it worked out.
In terms of, we talked a little bit about on Saturday too. I mean, at this point in the season, to be 3-4, 2-1 in the Mountain West as well too. Does it feel like things are a little bit ahead of schedule, or is it that thought not even creeping in at this point?
Yeah, it's not creeping in. There's just way too much to do, and yeah, I'd like to build a program of excellence, and we're working hard toward that. I don't have a time frame other than I think there's a great chance that happens. History says it can and will. I've never really shared with my players anything other than it's not if, it's when, and they probably influence when more than I do. And it looks like right now they want to influence when sooner rather than later.
With that said, you obviously getting some traction. You feel like that, right, Coach?
Say it one more time.
I said, well, what you just said, I said you obviously, and it's obvious with the eyes that you guys are getting some traction now. You got the momentum going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think there's momentum and lots of work ahead, and our players know that. My messaging today wasn't much different. So if you expected to come in today's meeting and wait, just felt like Monday. And Monday is what happens when you build a consistent program. And Monday is Monday and all the things that have to happen. And as soon as it's not like that, you're probably letting other things influence your program that actually get in the way of results, don't facilitate results. I know the players are confident. I know they're optimistic. I know they're excited. I know they are looking forward to playing. They also know the work ahead of them in a game week and what has to happen. As soon as they move from that, we diminish our chances. And so, yeah, they're handling it maturely, workmanlike, optimistically, and enthusiastically with confidence and hope. And here comes a really big work week. And so they know that.
A lot of extended run for Antonio Harris lately. Just curious of your thoughts on his recent run.
Yeah, Antonio is becoming trustworthy in his assignments. He's becoming more conditioned. He's becoming more sound in everything he's supposed to be doing and how he does it. Much like other players on our team and different units, consistency is improving. And as he continues to have consistency and production, right, his role will keep increasing.
How do you feel about salsa dancing and the way your SID performed on national TV?
Say it one more time.
Salsa dancing, and how do you feel about that and the way your sports information director performed on national TV?
First I've heard about it right here. And so again, just baseline, I'll be the least connected, probably head football coach in all of the college football, what's happening around our program. I don't think a comment of any sort is appropriate right now.
I agree 100%. All right, I think we're done.